Toddy, God Almighty. This is the Sweat Equity Podcast. Yeah.
I hate that.
You don't like my hottie toddy?
No.
That other voice you're hearing, if you're listening on audio, is Eric Regiger.
Yep, hating on everything already. Hate it.
I felt like I needed to join in on that kind of.
That third voice you're hearing is Nick Snapp. See how I do this, guys? It's professional-like. I bring you in for the audience. You see how that works?
So I shouldn't immediately talk about how I hate the show.
What?
First thing.
Do you? Well,
sorry.
I mean, do you want to? That's quite a tease. If you want to get into why you hate the show.
I don't actually hate the show. I don't listen to it.
No, he's in a grumpy dad mood, dad bod mood.
I can feel that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even want to talk to you guys.
I mean, basically, Eric and I are in this office just pissed about doing work a lot of the time. I think just being statically, I think we're figuring it out. We're just not made to sit in chairs all day. Basically, I think that's making us grumpy in here.
Yeah, we'll be throwing poop at each other pretty soon or something.
Yeah, but now we'll be doing it out of just anger, not for fun.
Yeah, that's true.
So before we get into the pod, the show, I don't know. We do video. We are on YouTube, Facebook. You can watch us on there. Sometimes it's a little better. This might be a little bit more visual if we show some computer screens of what's going on for this episode. But on audio, iTunes, Spotify. Let's see what else.
Laughable.
The Laughable app, where you can tag your favorite comedians, and if they show up on another podcast, you get a little notification. Pretty sweet. The iTunes app is a little-ish, not so great. We got a sponsor? Yeah, Nick. Look, man.
Yeah.
We're big time now.
Yeah.
Snap. We are huge.
The guests get nothing from that.
Yeah, you don't get anything. We barely get anything. But this sponsor, who's their sponsor? It's Warby Parker. Oh, yeah, Warby Parker. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on video, so people, you're not going to fool the good people at Warby Parker. Okay, I'll explain it to you because I like their story. Basically, I actually have Warby Parker glasses, so I put them on the table.
There it is.
Product placement. That's how I do. See, it's all marketing.
That
man.
was very
all
smooth.
branding, marketing stuff.
Seamless transition to the product placement.
So Warby Parker, basically, it's a good system. They're called a disruptor in the nerd business.
Right.
So basically, Luxottica. You ever heard of them?
I have.
You have? Really? The Italian monopoly of all glasses.
Yeah, they own all of them, right?
They own
glasses.
like 97% share of all United States glasses or something like that. Like they own Lens Crafters and whatever the competing one across the street is. I forget what it's called.
They're like De Beers of glasses.
I think they're worse technically because they are like a legit monopoly. So Warby Parker goes, fuck that, man. Fuck that shit. And they go, okay, we can make glasses now. And we can do it better, and we can make them actually look really good and not cost $300. Ray-Bans are like, they start at basically a mortgage payment. That's where good Ray-Bans are at, and they're not that expensive to make. So that's called artificial inflation, guys. You can create your own price. Yeah. So Warby Parker said, fuck that. And our listeners get a free trial. You get 5 pairs of glasses to try on your head. You see my head. You see my head. It's huge. Like, not all glasses are good on this mug. So I was like, okay, what do I go? I got kind of an oval, big horse head. So what's going to look good with that? I had 5 glasses. I wore them in the office. I was working in before I started this firm. I asked everybody, what do you think? Did a little runway show in the office, and they picked those. And I was like,
wow, something does look good with that.
Right, exactly. And now I only really just wear them to look smart in meetings. That's all. So Warby Parker's the shit. I love what they're doing. They're starting to open up little retail stores in bigger cities. We've got one over here in Tampa in the Oxford Exchange, and there's another one in St. Pete opening up. But I like the cut of their jib, man. So Warby Parker, we'll put the link in the episode description, and I believe it's Warby Parker Trial /Sweat.
Sweat.
If
Sweat.
if I'm wrong, just go over to the go over to the episode description and it'll be there. So let's get into it, man. That's I like when the guest is here with the ad. It's fun. You added
It was
so
fun,
much.
yeah.
You added so much to it.
I had fun. No, for sure.
So we've been talking. This is what, second, third time on the podcast. I can't remember. Maybe third on Sweat Equity. I've been on yours.
I think that was it. There was one on yours, one on mine, and this is number 3 overall.
And things have been changing, and we were talking. I was like, I want to get you back on.
Appreciate that, man.
I always like the stuff you're bringing to the table. Like every time we talk, you're like, well, this is the Bayesian theory of supply chain management. That's what you're really going for. I'm like, yeah. I thought we just came up with it ourselves. So I always like that because it makes me feel like I created something and then it's already been there, but you name it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When someone's like,
I can name stuff.
But like Phil, when people are like, oh, the philosophy of blah blah blah, and you're just like, God, that guy's got his shit together, kind of thing.
Yeah, but you've been doing it.
It's
so
McKinsey politics, or like you're like, oh wow.
So when you're already doing it before it's named, that means that you got to give some credibility to yourself, man.
Yeah. Oh no, I do all the time. I'm like, damn, I'm fucking badass.
Yeah, you invent something every day that's already existed.
Right. As long as I don't know it exists,
Yeah.
I'm an inventor. That's how I roll. But
Yeah.
I think we're similar in the same, and Eric is same. All three of us are kind of the same. We're trying to bring a little bit of old school business kind of tactics that you learn to this online area, digital kind of services area.
Right.
That I don't think a lot of people are doing it. I don't think a lot of people have that background first too. So,
And a lot of people aren't doing it because they're feeding in all the hype. There's so much hype in this digital world.
yeah, I mean, we get advertised those ClickFunnels guys, the webinar guys. Hey, here's how you turn a $500 client to a $500,000 client.
3 secrets.
Right. And it's like, literally, we could make those videos. We were kind of ping-ponging ideas for ads for here. And I kind of want to chew on those guys, but I think that's too much inside baseball. I think that would only be
Nobody
funny
would get it.
for that for that group of people. But so tell me what's been going on since we talked on the phone a little bit, but remind me because I have the memory of memento.
That's okay.
And so just what's been going on since your last year?
I've gotten wiser, I guess. I like to think that I've gotten wiser. Being at this whole on my own, leaving my 6-figure job 2 years ago now, over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it started out.
Are they hiring?
Yeah, they're always hiring, I guess.
Just kidding at all.
It's all good. The door's right there, man.
I know.
Well, I went down this productivity path. One of the first things that I did was launch this productivity podcast. And in hindsight, man, like it was fine, but it wasn't very productive.
You're not doing yours anymore?
I'm on hiatus right now. And
Make It Snappy?
I got to tell you about it, though.
Okay.
No, it's a good story.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's fine. It's fine. The podcast. So I did the podcast, 124 episodes in. Great, man. It connected me with some really good people. But at the end of it, what I've kind of realized after this 2 years is really what's work overall when you think of work, between work and hobby. And work should be a return on your invested time, a financial return on your invested time. And when you go into something with an idea and you just kind of go full force, but you don't have a really good plan for what you're going to do with that and how it's going to support everything else that you're doing, it's a problem. It's just kind of ironic that I was a productivity guy and I was trying to get into this productivity coaching type thing. And there's a lot of different layers involved with that I can get into as well, but it has to do with kind of, it's just a really saturated place with a lot of wannabes. Not so much productivity coaching, but this coaching industry in general seems to be kind of a problem. No,
No, I know what you're talking about, and we can unpack it a little bit.
Yeah.
Instagram. Everybody thinks they're a coach of some kind.
A coach, a model,
Fitness instructor,
influencer.
Or model.
So the first thing when you get into the online space, you start seeing things like that. And when you're new at it, like, oh, that's novel. Like,
Right.
well, I got a coach, which is, I believe in coaching. I think it's a good thing to have a sounding board and somebody kind of work you through your internal process. But you get to kind of to a point where, okay, I've done that. I've pulled everything out. Now I got to go out and actually do something valuable, And with all the coaches out there, I realized I'm both blessed and cursed with this just insatiable appetite to always be different and innovative. And when I find that I wasn't as novel as I thought I was, I get kind of turned off, you know?
Okay.
And from the coaching perspective and seeing that combined with all the online kind of hype and everybody's stuff kind of looked the same. They're using the same ClickFunnels formula to get through. I'm like, man, I'm kind of in this.
Same WordPress design I see a lot.
Definitely. Yeah, this is templates. And I found myself in this world where I'm like, dude, I got 15 years experience with like legitimate engineering, project management. Like, I kind of know what I'm doing. And it got real frustrating really fast. And not being a marketer, a guy that kind of doesn't have that experience, I just found a very saturated area. And I'm like, man, I got to figure out a way to differentiate myself from the noise. And coaching just isn't it. Plus, if you're really looking at just business in general, the scalability thing, it just wasn't there, and I was kind of just ignoring that fact that okay, I can do this, I can create something that's gonna sustain my family. But at the end of the day, man, it's a really good hobby and something fun to do once you've already had a business. But, just jumping right into it like that, it's not the way to go. So that was a big lesson learned for me.
So was the podcast part of the coaching? Make It Snappy podcast, was that part of that? Well, system.
The natural fit for, okay, I'm doing a podcast on productivity to support what I'm doing from the perspective of productivity coaching. And, I mean, I've learned a heck of a lot from the productivity space in general, because I went from project management, continuous improvement type stuff to kind of go into the online equivalent, which is productivity. And applying all those tactics, I'm always going to be kind of a productivity geek, but I figured at that point, I turned from a productivity nerd kind of to a productivity turd.
Wow.
And I'm not sure.
Wow. What paper wrote that, man? That's a headline.
I came up with that this morning.
Is that clickbait?
You need a copywriter.
Yeah.
I came up with that this morning, actually. I was thinking about, what I'm going to talk about here with you today. A productivity turd is the guy that's doing all the productivity stuff.
I'm writing that
doing
down.
it really well. But it's all kind of meaningless when it doesn't really get you results.
Like what? Like, take yourself out of it. Can you give us an example of a productivity turd scenario?
Walk us through this, will you?
Productivity turds are ones that have. I can't believe I'm calling people productivity turds.
No, it's fine. We've said worse on this podcast.
Yeah. And it's a new concept for me because I just thought of it today. So now that I'm actually physically calling somebody a productivity turd, it feels different. It feels different.
Don't feel like this
You're
is
not naming
formal.
names.
Yeah.
Unless you want to. I mean, who are these turds?
Well, so you get in here and
Mark
you have
McGuire. Sorry.
So you're getting into something, for example, a podcast.
Uh-huh.
And you've optimized your podcast. I mean, I went from an 8 to 10 hour ordeal per week when I was first starting and launching.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that thing down to like 3. And it was more complex, as far as my time, all in interviews, all that kind of stuff.
I remember, dude,
3 hours of content?
So 3 hours all in. I optimized the heck out of that thing.
So this podcast, I don't want to edit because it saves time, but I also don't want to edit because I think it's more authentic, unless someone really has something they want to take out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember when you were starting it, I was like, dude, you trying to edit it is going to be rough. Like that is because he was doing like professional setup. You had a Gantt chart of everything set up in a grid. Like, all right, I'm 4 episodes ahead always. It was super organized.
Yeah. Had
like an assistant, I want to say, virtual assistant.
I do. Yeah, still do.
And had this whole system, but it's a lot. It's a lot for the side project kind of thing.
It is, and especially a side project that's really not getting you any results at the end of the day. I mean, I put my heart and soul in this thing, and I optimized it. Like, if anybody needs podcast advice on how to get it done and get it done efficiently, man, I got it.
Well,
I nailed it.
You skew more towards the engineer perfectionist kind of personality.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
Where depending on the project, we can go to that, but when it comes to stuff on the side for us, I just go, let's get it started and let's try to continuously improve as we go.
Right.
Because I'm going to get better ideas and just try to keep adding to it like that.
And that's why you're a real business owner. I'm telling you, man, that's the mentality you need to have. And for me, I got this thing streamlined from what took me 10 to 12 hours a week or whatever down to 3. And I felt really good about that. And I took a step back. I'm like, dude, this is getting me was getting me nothing. So I was all productive and super whammed and bragging about how great I'm doing with my podcast and streamlining.
I even thought to go to Chicago with you for the podcast. What was it? Podcast like Nerd
podcast
Fest?
movement, Podfest. I love podcasters. I love the community. I honestly do, man. It's a really good.
It's weird that you found a community, like to me, because it feels like this is like almost like doing stand up in a way, because it's like feral cats. Like everybody's on their own. It seems like everybody would be in competition from the outside looking in.
Yeah, they're not. Not at all.
Well, same with stand up. Like everybody's pretty much friends. You know, there's beefs just like anything, but you find out the community is a lot cooler than you realize, and there actually is a community.
Definitely.
Yeah,
but you were
always promoting. Yeah,
he was doing like he was doing the you were taking that next level, because you were the one telling me like, dude, you got to book like big time guests to get on, do like swap interviews and stuff, and that's how you raise your numbers. I was like, yeah, I'd love to, but booking interviews just fucking it's tough. Like we had to reschedule a few times. And we were going to do a mini podcast earlier. It's just like,
just the
we
two
can't.
of us.
And
I've been here all day.
Yeah.
We couldn't make time to
Hey, we got to put client work ahead of it, you know?
Well, I had an SOP for that.
What's SOP?
And a standard operating procedure. I was efficient.
Oh,
I got it all done.
you
I got
don't
it all
know.
done. There's another name for you.
So
Drop
I
in the
knew that
names.
one for the record.
There you go.
All right,
Military term.
so you're in this flux where I'm trying to reset us back to where you were in your story. So you're kind of getting frustrated with the podcast is one part of it. The coaching is the main aspect that you realize you don't want to fucking, hey, working with people is tough.
I don't want to do it. I didn't want to do it anymore. So now I find myself in this position where, one, the coaching wasn't all that stellar anyway, because I got, when you have a problem with the craft as a whole, it's hard to sell, you know? And for me, with the coaching thing, that even though it was productivity, there's a lot of mindset stuff there. And being an engineer, I don't want to deal with people's mindset issues.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with that.
I was going to say, when you say coaching, are you talking like more, are you selling more of your personality sort of thing with the productivity tips and whatnot? Or is it more of like a system that you've come up with?
The vision for the coaching was to take people's broken systems and make them efficient, to make them more productive. But then I found myself continuously in a position where I was trying to convince people to do the work.
Yeah,
and it's just not a good position for me personally. There's a lot of great mindset coaches out there, a lot of people that get into the meditation and digging in and asking the right questions and have the patience for that, but for me I didn't. And I also realized along that journey is that something that people have been telling me all along, I just didn't listen, I had my blinders on, is it really is about niche. It really is. As much as you want to fight it, with productivity you can apply that to anything. And not being in the space early enough, it was hard to gain traction. There's guys like Mike Vardy out there. We did the show with him. And he's been doing it for a really long time.
Well,
he's got a
tell
great
Eric,
following.
who's Mike? Tell Eric and the audience, Mike Vardy.
Mike Vardy. Oh, do you know?
no.
Oh. He's a comedian actually. He's a comedian out of British Columbia, and he's the productivityist, and he's been doing it for 7-8 years, something like that. Been in the productivity space. So you got these certain broader, you call them niches, but if you're an early adopter, not an early adopter, if you're the first one to the space, then you build a name for yourself. Right. It's kind of like Match.com. Like Match.com was the first one to the relationship online dating type thing, even though the service might kind of suck a little bit. From what I've heard, I'm dated in 20 years.
Yeah.
But they were the first to
we
market.
all missed out on that.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about like, God, if we had fucking
we were just
Tinder,
complaining about other shit.
It'd be ugly.
When we're around, and then I go even further. Like, dude, if we had smartphones with video cameras in high school, I'd be fucking in jail or something. I would have done something really dumb. Pretty sure. So you're in that area where now, and is this affecting anything non-business, like your home life and stuff? Because I think if I remember, you're doing a lot of stuff out of the house at one point. And you're a big family guy. You got 3 kids, right?
Got 3 kids. They're all under 7.
Yeah. So I mean, God, Eric's got 2 5 and under. And we'll have our second.
We're in the mix.
You're nuts.
Yeah, you're outnumbered.
I'm sure they're lovely, but
all boys, a lot of energy.
Well, that's at least like they knock each other out. You can do WrestleMania.
Oh, they do. Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, I don't keep track of the boy as much as I do the girl.
Yeah, just put like Just put a tracker on him. Be fine.
I don't know if this is our parenting, but my 18-month-old has probably smacked himself in the same exact position or in his forehead. He's had this golf ball welt probably 5 or 6 times. He just it's like snowboarding. He catches an edge and just bam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably a product of my
well, I mean,
my business in some fashion.
Well, so was that? So was it affecting? I mean, I'm sure mentally you probably felt once you've kind of, let's call it epiphany for lack of a better term.
It was an epiphany for sure. When you realize that you think you're being productive on something, you're streamlining something, you take a step back and you realize, dude, this isn't getting me anything. And sure, there's a lot of factors, and I could have pushed it as hard as I possibly could. But then when you get to a position where you really don't want to do it anymore, and not that like the last year and a half or whatever year was a waste of time or anything, but that hurts the family because like they're not seeing results and not getting it. And then when you're questioning it yourself, it's a recipe for disaster. And it was a real big revelation to me is that like, okay, I'm in this space. I'm kind of doing things like what I see because I'm a new entrepreneur. So I'm seeing all this stuff out there, and getting back to the sweat equity kind of perspective. It's really just not worrying about all the systems and processes until you actually have a valuable product. You have a valuable service to sell.
I was hoping you were going to go back to that. Yeah. And we have a lot of service business clients. And one thing I talked to them about vision-wise is like, if you really want to break to this like cheat code level, disruptor, Warby Parker style level,
nice callback.
Yeah, that's how we do it. If you want to do that, you need to have something. Your process needs to be unique. I mean, you can patent processes, right? Patent it.
It's tough.
Is
I understand, but
but I'm saying like, what's going to drive you apart? Because a product obviously has more obvious tangible differences. Mm-hmm. Service business obviously intangible. So your processes have to be fucking tight as shit
and innovative.
And we kind of look at a lot of business in an opposite kind of way, where I'm probably more on the marketing branding side, although I've kind of made myself get a boner for the operation side now.
I've noticed.
Well, because
it's really weird.
Because you'll never scale. To me, like in the beginning, you need to market. You need to focus on marketing a lot, and you need to focus on
going.
First,
right.
And you can spend if you can figure out. It's the working harder, not smarter kind of area.
Sure,
but you're figuring it out along the way. What's working? Trial and error. If you're in a startup, let's call you immature business under 3 years.
Yeah.
But if you want to, we really want to take that leap the next year or two. The only way we do it is if we have really, really tight operations, and also most of my energy for business or even writing jokes or sketches or whatever, it comes out of frustration. Mm-hmm. And we were just going over like our web development process that we showed you on the board. We're redoing the whole thing because we're doing this like we're doing this in a dumb way. We know this can be a lot better. Yeah. And we know no one else is doing it this way, thinking about it like we do. We can't give away the whole sauce, but I'm saying like we're never going to be able to scale the way we want to because I don't want to be the one executing the actual work after a couple of years.
Yeah, I need to be able to teach it.
I want to be able to
teach the process.
I daydream about like going around like my doctor does with a wheelie cart. She has like rollerblade wheels. The pediatrician. She has rollerblade wheels on this stand-up desk that can move up and down, and she uses drag and dictate. Productive.
Right.
Why doesn't she just get an iPad?
Because she has to use one of those medical like Windows, like high tech, like high security, whatever, because of HIPAA and all that stuff. But just like a doctor, I'd like to be able to go around and see what's going on. With everybody working with us in one office.
Yeah.
So you come in and go, okay, here's what you got to do. Go do this. All right. And they tell a nurse and, that kind of thing. Anyway, I went on a rant.
Yeah, it was interesting that you talked about just all these things get birthed out of frustration, completely related to that. So when I kind of hit my rock bottom in several different ways, I just kind of said, screw this, man. This isn't working. And I remember thinking, like, what do I really, like, what kind of value do I add? Even just, I could say, yeah, I'm a project manager, managing capital projects for 15 years or whatever. I know how to do that. But at the end of it, why do I even like that? What is there? What's there? And at the end, I realized, man, I like to see people finish stuff, know? And out of frustration, when kind of you don't have any chips left and you're just sitting there looking, okay, either I go back to work or I actually do something that's going to work. And I remember it was just a very simple post I put out on social media, and it was just kind of, I'm sick of everybody's excuses. I'm sick of everybody telling me they can't get things done. Like a rant. It was like a rant.
Yeah.
A frustrating rant. And I said, if you want to get something done, I'm going to open just a Slack channel. You know what Slack is?
Oh yeah. Slack fucking should pay us. How many people I tell people about Slack?
Slack tattoo.
It's in our contract with retainer clients. They have to use Slack to communicate with us.
Oh, I like that.
Because there's too many channels for them to get a hold of us. I hate texts.
Yeah,
I might be done with texting. Just all
together.
together.
Get some gloves.
No, what?
It's
the sweaty hands.
He's got sweaty fingers and he can't text.
That's half the battle. But the other
half. Is that where the name of the podcast came from?
I wish I was thinking that way.
We're pretty sweaty.
Yeah, it's pretty sweaty in here. But I'm saying like texts are fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, hey man, don't send me a text. Like email's still not really good if you think about it. Here's something I've been nerding out on that's going to annoy the shit out of Eric, but I've been using the Clips app. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I think so. Is that where
I love it. I want to master it, basically.
Yeah, you got.
Is that an Evernote add-on?
No, it's native to the iOS 10.
Okay.
So
I don't know about it then.
If you upgraded your iPhone software, it should just pop up on there, I think. I got a new phone. It was already there.
Taking notes.
So what it does, I'll show you on right now. So what it does is it'll take a video. I'll take a selfie video, and then it'll try to transcribe too.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of are you doing it right now?
No.
Oh.
I'm bugging around.
Oh no. I know. I wasn't paying attention.
Don't mind me.
So like you can hold it down like this.
All right.
And I'm gonna talk into it, and then it'll capture what you said, and you can put subtitles at the bottom. So when you have a client business that you're trying to tell them, hey, I need that logo vectored out that you were going to send me. Can you send that over? Because I need it to look like this, this, and this.
It's right there. It's all transcribed for you.
And then because I mumble a lot, you can go in and edit the text correctly. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
And it puts a video with it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like yesterday, my mom had to take my kid to daycare, and you can do like I did
GPS.
I did
now
clips.
Turn left.
No, I was like, here's where you go. Here's the parking lot, and so I took 10 seconds of video while I was driving because I'm cool like that. and then
You're just trying to get it so nobody ever has to ask you a question about anything ever.
Yeah,
just refer to the videos.
Exactly. Because we do how-to tutorials for web development.
There you go.
Here's your site. Here's how to use
go.
it. You're going to have to teach yourself to be a badass like us, but
right.
That's our value in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing of like, I thought you'd get a boner to see that. Because
I did. I felt it move for sure.
That's the opposite of a productivity turd right there.
It really is, man. And to get off one quick little tangent, all my SOPs are usually accompanied with a Zoom screen capture.
Yeah, Zoom's good.
And yeah, just kind of walk through it, and I'll fire that over to the VA on Google Drive. And every now and then I'll say, hey, will you just transcribe this for me and just make sure you understand the process so that I kind of look it over without watching my own video.
How do you transcribe it?
I just have him watch the video and write down the process.
So I'll have to find one of my content writers showed me a site that'll do it like $1 a minute. And then I think what we want to do with this podcast too, and we've been recording client meetings as well, because what's said in the first meeting isn't what they meant to say, down the line when we get into a project.
Scope change?
Yes.
Scope creep.
I call it work order change, I guess.
Yeah.
Just from contracting kind of language.
We could do project management language if you want.
No, I mean, like, I thought it was. I'm thinking like a house contractor. I was just like, I think that's what they call it, so that's what we're gonna call it. But you can. I want to be able to upload the file, the audio file, and then it'll transcribe for you. And I think Dragon Dictate does that.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Saves a lot of time because like we're trying to pull content from clients a lot of the time. We have a lot of lawyers and just it's a lot of immature businesses, and we're talking to the business owner that has to give us guidance on what they want to do weekly. So I'm like, we're trying to find these hacks to show them how to do stuff. So it's like, oh, if you have a blog post, just record it, send it over in audio. Like right now, we're like, just send it over. But we have to figure out how to make it thoughtful, which is where you were at with the coaching.
Right.
How do you change behavior? It's the hardest thing in business.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
agree with that.
I think changing people's behavior from a management perspective or an agency client perspective is, I mean, it's tough just in real life anyway.
That is a business. That's what
right,
it is.
It's business. I mean, business is psychology 101, really.
Do?
So it's just like you change or you die in a lot of ways. You either get better or you get worse in a way. But I'm saying like where you're at, I was trying to button it back to him.
To Slack? I think it was where we stopped with
Slack, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Slack's the shit, and then it creates this your own like. Just for people who don't know, it's like segmented chat rooms almost.
I think it's like Facebook groups without distraction, or just Facebook without distractions in general.
Oh, it's much more than that, sir. So
yes,
Facebook's trying to copy Slack. They got Workplace now or something like that.
That's a good. Yeah, but there's just all the bells and whistles stuff that come with Facebook. But that was birthed out of frustration, that post, and I kind of called people on the carpet real hard. I took a chance. I was polarizing. And, man, with that post, within the next 3 days, I had 15 people sign up for a membership to my Slack community. And all the work I'd done in the past versus one freaking post, I looked at, okay, what's the return on my invested time? What's more productive? And I said, that was and I didn't know it at the time, but I had really just validated a need. I validated an idea. And that was the big thing I've been missing the whole time.
And it's genuine.
Yeah.
And your brand was you technically in this situation. So so a lot of people knew you. You're a credible guy. That's
the one thing the podcast did build for me. It built a following, and I had kind of a little tribe and stuff, but I didn't know what to do with them until I finally called them to the carpet, and they bought from me. And I realized at that time, okay, I just validated a concept without spending any time or money on anything. I just pre-sold 15 seats to a membership site that hadn't been built yet. That was an eye-opener to me.
So that should tell you not all was wasted. I hope you don't think that time was wasted.
No, I don't. No, dude, I wouldn't. I don't have regrets.
Because to me, I'm like, you got to bring it back. I feel bad. I haven't listened in a while, obviously, but
I want to tell you about that. So we're talking about productivity now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I took this 90-day hiatus to focus on this latest launch that we'll probably get into at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it for the reason because with productivity and kind of what I'm doing now, I felt like I was fitting like a square peg into a round hole sort of thing. But I built this baby, like 124 episodes. It's growing, like it's in adolescence almost. And I don't want to let that go. But it wasn't doing anything for me. So I put my thinking cap on there and try to do something innovative again. So I found someone that is dedicated to the productivity space in a very specific niche that I'm very convinced that she will remain in the productivity space her entire career, I guess.
I'm listening. I just got one of these notifications that said like,
was it on Facebook?
Slow internet, so it might knock our quality down. But I'm listening. If you're watching,
I was listening too.
No, I'm just. I can feel. I can feel him looking over here, and I'm like, I feel like an asshole. But I've got to check this Mevo because it was acting funny before we started. So keep going.
So I said, all right. I'm gonna put my head down and focus on that. I get it. I gave everybody a heads up that I'm gonna be stopping. Didn't get very much hate mail. Hopefully that's not a bad thing, but a lot of people didn't go up in arms or anything like that. But I took that time to obviously work on this launch and then mentor this future co-host who we've agreed when this thing does get launched back, I will remain a co-host with her for I don't know how many episodes until we're comfortable, and then transition it over to her. So she'll have the benefit of my platform. I'll still own the show under a network, and we worked out some affiliate kind of rev share type situation too. So now I'm in the rollerblade situation where you're looking over the
Yeah,
I
but
don't want to get back to your
it's
analogy.
different though,
The rollerblade
because
doctor.
people are buying into you, man. I mean that like you have the following because you.
Right. So
and
that's
we probably
that's
all
why
have
you've got to
low
be,
self-esteem at this table, but like I can tell other people like you're probably dogging yourself a little bit because you built that following because they,
Yeah,
Well,
hopefully
but
this
here's-
co-host works out.
hopefully it works out. And the thing is, it's not like I'm not going to be tied to. I'm going to be checking in, and hopefully through a slow transition process. And a really good case in point, a podcast that did this really well was Startup. Listen to Startup?
the startup podcast.
They did that really, really well. So I'm kind of taking that model. But, if I'm going to be owning and putting my blood, sweat, and tears into a podcast, I really wanted to support the business as a whole. If I want a podcast as a hobby, I'll go on there and I'll probably start talking about making stupid videos on, I don't know, Sony Vegas or something. Something
Yeah.
that I'm like,
That's
raging
where
about.
I wanted
Cool,
this to
yeah.
start from. I
That's about right.
I didn't want this in its transition, but
Yeah.
I think you started your podcast with good intentions like that.
Right.
I feel like we're seeing a lot of guys start podcasts for pure marketing reasons, which is, look, it can work, but the good ones, the good ones are authentic and come
Right.
from a
Yeah,
spot.
it's based on a desire to
Yeah.
entertain
It's a
or give out
passion.
information or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, like,
It's a great creative outlet.
well, also, for me, like, this is quasi therapy a little bit because it is
Yeah.
literally the 1 hour a week at least, or the 20-minute episodes we're doing where we can just talk about one business subject in a little bit heightened conversation. But
Right.
even though I'm darting around looking at audio and the video quality and all that stuff, it's still like a heightened conversation that you and I would probably never sit down and do, And so sometimes it's the only time I get to hang
And
with
we
some
can
people.
shut out the outside world too,
Right.
which is normally.
Here's my
getting
phone.
public.
Peace.
One of the coolest benefits of podcasting, I used to bring my wife on once a month, and we'd have the
Miss Snapp?
filter. Yeah.
Mrs. Snapp?
Yeah. And we'd talk about productivity around the house. And
Oh boy.
there's a level of filter there, right? When you're behind the mic and people are listening to you. You could have conversations that you normally wouldn't take the time to have at home. And if you did have them, they potentially could get escalated. I'm just saying. I'm not saying there's anything wrong.
So she heard something on another episode or something?
No, what I'm saying is that you can have a
Should we go back and listen
legitimate
to these?
human conversation with your spouse or your partner
Yeah.
and not have to worry about, it escalating to something.
You've got a third party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a mediator. You got a mediator. I guess that's the point. And that was a really cool side benefit from a podcast. I used to have really cool conversations with my wife that I never have in a normal.
That's
So
great
I transition
that's
it
a great
off,
idea,
man. You should
so-
do it like we're kind of
Yeah.
doing it. We'll do the interviews still.
Yeah.
I'd love Eric as a second mic, but if he can't be here, it's not the end all be all.
Right.
Sometimes I'm doing solos now, which sucks, but just sucks for my own, like, am I talking too fast? Like, all that stuff. But it's getting that off your chest. The way you're talking about it, you're smiling as you're talking about the podcast you're about to transition off.
Well, let me just make no bones about it, if that's the right analogy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Idiom?
involved. Idiom. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be deeply involved until I'm comfortable with my audience likes the new co-host and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to be checking in. So
Yeah.
I'm still tied to it, but it's not the source of frustration that it was
But-
before. And
Sorry, do you like doing it? I mean, is it enjoyable for you?
I like podcasting, but I got really, really burnt out on the material.
Sure.
On the productivity material. Yeah.
I could see that, and the perfectionist paralysis, maybe, because you're trying to make the best episode, probably. I think in your head.
I just kind of it evolved as this is really the turning point for me. The podcast evolved as my business evolved. So I started trying to tell more of a story of what I was building here with, what I learned from validating the idea and stuff. And as I was developing that group, it turned into more of a startup type thing. And my audience came in for productivity tools and hacks, which I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but it's not, I'm not driven by it.
Sure.
So I tried to turn it into something else, and some people stuck around, but my numbers really dropped, even though the content was so much better. So it's like they didn't get where I wanted to go. It wasn't lining up. And when I surveyed my audience, because I try to be smart, what do they really want? They want the productivity tools and hacks.
Yeah.
So I found somebody to give them that. Now I'll support it. I won't lose my audience. I won't feel like that I'm betraying them.
Okay.
But I'm going to go off and do launch a podcast that I really am passionate about long term.
Well, there you go. That was my point. Was, if you enjoy doing it, it doesn't have to be work, and you don't need to edit these things.
And
no, I'm not editing. No, I that's one of the things I got down from
even
10
though
hours to 3 hours.
Let it flow.
And even though I keep interrupting, it does make you a better listener in real life a little bit, long form wise. Like, you're at a dinner party, you're really trying to. It's like once a week you're getting practice on how to be a human almost.
Totally.
Talk to people.
Totally, yeah.
Again, heightened conversations, 10, 20% more than your normal whatever kind of conversation at a dinner party. But, at the same time, it does teach you that skill because it's like, don't get ADD, really like sometimes I have to be like, keep following the story, don't get off track. Because there is pressure of other people potentially watching, and you can't be like, wait, what'd you say, bro?
Yeah.
You can't be in your phone and fucking around on Instagram and stuff.
You're right.
Pinterest for me, but, that's how I do it. Yeah. I don't care.
I don't see Pinterest coming from you.
Pinterest is the secret weapon, I think, in
3 secrets.
He's not joking around.
Online
about
marketing.
You think he's joking. He's not.
I love Pinterest because women make all the purchases in the household, purchase decisions, I should say.
Sure.
They may not do the transaction, like they may not have the card. I'm not saying that they can't pay for it. I'm saying like, let's say it's 50-50 split of actual credit card paying for stuff in the house. Mm-hmm. But I bet it's about 90% of the purchase decisions are made by the women. And then 80% of what women pin to their board, they'll buy in some kind of way. That's kind of a fucking crazy statistic if you really think about it. So if you think about what Pinterest is, and the reason it's overlooked is because the digital funnel click buttholes are it's mostly dudes. It's almost 99% dudes. Yeah. Shout out to Kat Howell, who I've been following on Facebook. Gives you a bunch of Facebook ad advice. Awesome. We're gonna have her on the podcast soon. But
is she a ClickFunnels person?
No. But she's very like even keel legit, and then she does a lot of like updates. Like the other day, Facebook ads, you can't go by job title anymore. It wiped that out. So
what?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. So they made it an interest, I think. So it was like, hey, if you have a bunch of ads with job titles targeting, you need to redo them. And I was like, I have her on notification anytime she posts. I see it.
Facebook's getting real cocky like that, man. I hope everybody that's searching on job titles just transitions
on
LinkedIn.
1 in 5 minutes spent online is on Facebook.
Oh, that's getting creepy.
That's crazy. Think about it. 1 in every 5 minutes is spent on Facebook. And Messenger, the way we were talking back and forth, they did a great job with that because now it kind of is like, if you don't have people's email,
it really is
phone,
easier.
It is a lot easier.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the clearing out your inbox for whatever reason.
But it's like, you meet. It's best for like acquaintances, right? You meet someone, they're like, "Hey, give me a ring," but you never got their contact info. You can usually find them on there, and
then you get the real creepy ones. How are you?
Well, I sent a message to Kat Howell,
from Pakistan, and
I
nothing wrong with Pakistan. I'm saying I get a lot of them from Pakistan.
I was a little blazed the other night, and I sent that Kat Howell person. I sent her like a message like, hey, you're doing a really great job. I hope this doesn't come off as creepy because it's a Facebook message, but I really like I try to give credit where credit's due. And I was like, I really enjoy what you're doing work-wise. And then I was like, maybe we can get you on our podcast and stuff like that. But I was like, sorry, 97% of like Facebook messages look creepy, especially from guy to girl.
They do.
So I met my wife.
I met my wife on Messenger.
She's been texting me about my appointment.
Have there been any marriages met on Messenger, I wonder?
Oh, sure.
I didn't meet my wife on it, but we were in Tampa and Gainesville, and I messaged Facebook Messenger.
Oh, really?
Her. Yeah.
When it was,
she still has the message, I think, somehow.
Yeah, it keeps all of it.
Were you surprised when you did that? You're like, wow, I just communicated.
I can't believe it worked.
Technology.
So stupid.
Oh, wait. We're now.
We're fucked.
What I just said, I zoned out. We were Slack.
We talked about Slack. You still brought a community in. Yeah.
Yeah. So
15
let's talk.
seats.
Let's talk about Snappier. I want to make sure we get this in because I think we'll have another. We hard out at 3:30. It's
Okay.
so we got a little bit of time, but
So it wasn't Snappier back then. I called it Real Accountable.
oh boy,
Yeah.
should have called me, man.
It was off the cuff, but
Obviously.
obviously. And then obviously it wore on me too. It was heavy, dude. That's a heavy name. But it was all about accountability and just what do you want to get done? This is how, in my experience, how people can actually finish and get things done. So it was based around that platform. And we were helping people. First, I wanted to build my own Shark Tank, actually. That was the vision for it. And I said, okay, what do you want to get done? What do you want to get done? And being the project manager, I know, okay, I can take that and I can count. Now I can establish these SMART goals, these milestones for every week that they want to get it done. And then we're going to bring our Shark Tank together and you're going to pitch these milestones and we're going to tell you if you're full of it or not.
So this is, I think when you told me about this off mic, I was like, it's kind of like the fitness apps where they give you a reward, right?
Well, I'm talking about the previous revision. So this is I'm doing now with Snappier is the third revision of this. And the evolution and the thing that I learned from this whole process is the power and the idea of validation. And from that first version of Real Accountable, RA, even worse, right? RA. It's horrible.
Not good letters together.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I don't know why. There's just RA is just ugly. I don't know.
Yeah, it was bad. Wasn't that like a sun god or something in Egypt?
Did you just hear me say that?
Yeah. What?
I just said
Did
that.
you?
I just said that 5 seconds. I swear to God. I swear to Rob.
We have to bring him. We got to bring him into the conversation.
Is this thing on?
Wow. His mic's been muted the whole time.
So, man, yeah, I learned from that perspective. I had all these entrepreneurs that had gone into the platform because for whatever reason, those are the ones that were drawn to my productivity stuff. And 90% of these people were just throwing things against the wall to see if they stuck. And the thing that kept coming out through that, and about the Shark Tank, I brought in 21 people, 21 who I viewed to be somewhat successful entrepreneurs. I think I might even sent you an invite way back, like a year ago.
Oh boy.
But it's all right. And they
well,
bought
we just
in.
had our first kid.
Right.
I'm gonna
totally
blame
understood.
it on that.
And they bought in, and it was a really cool experience because I realized, one, I'm a pretty strong connector. If I can throw 21 people together in 3 days to schedule all these little Shark Tank meetings.
If you can get a Facebook post to create a business, you're a connector.
So I did all right. And so that was kind of a light bulb thing. But then out of that, consistently, all the little sessions that we had where they're pitching their milestones to the Shark Tank, it was like, well, how do you know that's going to work? Or the validation thing, 90% of them hadn't done anything in that area. So we got done with that. The next round came in, and we said, okay, we're going to still do the kind of the haphazard create your milestones, which, by the way, was a lot of hand-holding, a lot of mindset stuff, again, that was really kind of not my thing. But the other half of that group did the idea validation process. So I took them through a formal idea validation process.
Important.
And they got a lot. It was just a huge benefit. So with Snappier, we rebranded. I got smart and I said, okay, I'm going to pick a niche to prove concept. And it's all about idea validation for membership, people that want to build membership sites. Because that's where I felt like I had a lot of credibility. And based on my own personal idea validation process, that's what the market told me they wanted.
So, all right. So let's run a scenario.
Yeah.
Because I tell everybody I'll take a 5-minute call on anything.
Yeah.
Right now, or a 15-minute call. Because
Sure.
I get a lot of people who's like, I have a business idea. And I go, cool, I'm going to call you while I'm driving in the car. Because it's, I could talk to you about it there, but it's usually 95% of them are not very good.
Right.
A lot of them are app ideas because that feels like a cheat code. Because it feels like it's not that hard to make an app.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, you just hire somebody to do it.
It feels like you can just figure out how to make an app, and then the idea is the most important. We have it on our site. I think something to the degree of like, stoner ideas are easy, execution's really tough.
I got tons of ideas.
We've thrown out 30 ideas in the last 2 days about things we need to do.
Great ideas.
We're writing them down at least, but
got to capture them somehow.
yeah, using the Clips
others.
app. But so walk me through it, because any app idea that comes my way, I go, all right, I'm going to ask you 2 questions right off the bat. Does it exist?
Mm-hmm.
And then, are you sure? because no one even like researches like if this exists or
Right.
not.
That's-
And then I go, all right, if it exists, why don't we know about it? Like, why don't we know about the one that exists right now? What's the problem with it? If it doesn't exist, why doesn't it exist? And just that's your decision tree right there.
Right. And it probably a lot of your audience is sitting here thinking that like, oh, that kind of sucks to go through that process. And it does suck. It really does.
Yeah, but I just
So-
saved you time, Bucko, because you're gonna get excited about that, have that in your brain, taking bandwidth up in your free thought. And yeah, I'll be a dick now, but ultimately I'm a martyr for you, man. I'm saving you a lot of time.
But the problem with that, so that could be overwhelming for people. And when I started digging into this process, like what are the big problems I'm trying to solve here? Why aren't people finishing things like idea validation processes? Why does it suck so bad for them? And when they get overwhelmed. So another super strength I have is, okay, I take this big overwhelming thing and I break it down into really, really small bite-sized tasks. And then from the accountability perspective, they've got to have incentive enough to want to finish it. So how do you do that? Well, for me, they put a larger amount of money in on escrow, and if they do all the work on schedule, they get $500 back.
Escrow, it's a middle ground holding.
Yep.
Some people don't know what escrow is, so
That's
I'm trying
true,
to throw
yeah.
it out there.
Yeah, it goes in escrow, and then we pay
It's
them
like
back each week.
You and
as
I
they-
make a bet, and Eric is the bank, and he's holding it, and he's escrow, and it's penalty or it's penalty punishment or accomplishment.
Right. So like from a behavioral science perspective, which I've been dabbling with a little bit, is people's fear of
What?
losing something. Dabbling. People's fear of losing something is a lot greater than their fear or their opportunity to win something.
Yep.
Yes.
So if you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy in this program, and I could potentially lose $500, well, it's gonna give me more incentive to actually finish. And then we got gamified stuff too, where as they finish these modules, they earn some credits.
You just said
and
Love it.
said the word.
Love
I've
it.
been throwing out here.
have you?
Gamify, man. We have to.
You got to make it
Because
fun. You
it's
got to make it
hard-
fun.
It doesn't have to not be fun.
I want
Make
to
the
make
shit. We're
prices
gonna be doing
right.
it
I
anyways.
want to make prices right games for helping people walk through their business, because we have to make it kind of like silly, have
Yeah.
to make it kind of engaging in that way, because it's really hard to get people to focus on like, here's this marketing tactic's gonna be like Plinko,
Yeah.
Sometimes we're going to win, sometimes we're going to lose, but we can kind of close off the gaps, the zeros, after we get more information, and only hit those hundreds. So
And we could take that process that you walk your customers through, put it into the snappier kind of system, and they'd actually do the work in this platform. So you'd have proof and documentation that they did the work, and that's what triggers the payback.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So money floating in the air, right?
Right.
Because there's something to. So we talked about like free ticket comedy shows are the worst because there's no transaction. So the value of zero is always zero. But you give something away for free, it always has the value of zero.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really hard to prove that there's value to it.
Absolutely.
And so
No incentive.
it's a hard lesson to learn, because a lot of people think when you're doing a hustle, you're doing a side passion. Yeah, do it for free until you get paid. But that's usually because you're not good at it yet. Like I wasn't good at stand-up when I started, and I wasn't really good at consulting necessarily. And I started at another firm for free, so I could know how to do this.
Yeah.
Until
Get experience and credibility.
Yeah, until I knew how to talk to clients and expectations and
Right.
how to project manage. I didn't have that muscle yet, and so how do you deal with the part where are you sending a lot of notifications like, you're about to lose this if you don't,
They
in
have
a
a
couple days.
schedule. Yeah, they have a schedule, and from an SOP perspective, yeah, they get a series of notifications as they get closer and closer to that deadline. So yeah, we have some code built into where it triggers off the time where they start the first module, and that's when the clock starts, and automates the deadline. And it's all week. The weeks are all specific, so like it's not like you can kind of batch the whole thing at the last minute. It's like once that week's done, then that money's gone.
So where do we go to sign up? Snappier.co?
.co. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's power in co. I think com's kind of a thing of the past. So we're going to co now.
It's tough. It's only tough because of email. email address, if you're going for like nick@snappier.co, you're going to get a lot of people that type that in correctly. Because our brains can't go like one letter off.
It's a transition.
If you were like, well, here, do this. Can you do ER? Is ER like a country code? You could be snappy.er. Like ESP.pn or our buddies at partially.ly.
That's a good one.
We might want to check it now before this episode goes out tomorrow.
It is bought.
But yeah, I mean,
bought it.
But like maybe we should try this out because I'm interested in this. I think this is a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that kind of accountability that's automated, obviously, from your perspective. But
now this is MVP here.
Not yet. I know.
Do they know what MVP is? You talk about that?
I don't, but you can explain it if you like.
It's a minimum viable product. So that's part of the idea validation process. Is you want to spend as little time possible building your membership site in this case, but whatever your business idea is. And by the way, this process, man, you can apply it more than just to membership site ideas. Yeah, there's a little bit of focus on membership site, but idea validation is like, do people want your stuff before you waste time and money building it? That's the whole idea.
So you're teaching people how to build a membership site.
How to validate that people want your membership site before you waste time and money building it. That's the first phase of Snappier. That's what we're really kicking off here. But the grand vision for this is that we take processes like you described for when you bring your clients in, and it's almost like a plug-in. Now we take this and they're doing the work in our plug-in, and we're holding them accountable.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
board and all that kind of stuff happens too.
It sounds like it's not that far off, really. I mean, I don't know technical details, but really, I was looking at this. I was like, we should get in on this. I mean,
well, we've got. I mean,
cool.
We kind of talked about it off air before the podcast, and it's like, oh, here's what we're working on over here. I don't really want to talk about it on air necessarily because it'll take me 40 minutes to kind of go over. But like, we do have some stuff. We've kind of kicked the tires of the bigger agency in New York that I actually met through this podcast.
Nice.
PR firm was like, will you interview the CEOs of, they only had a handful of clients, but they're like, you just want to interview all of them? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. It sounds cool. And made good connection that way via Skype interview on this podcast. But like, so I guess what should we plug? So snappier.co, any social media, any other ways to connect?
Yeah, I mean, so
I know you sent me links. I'm going to put it in the post.
No, it's all good, man. If somebody has a general idea or some idea that they want to figure out how to go through this process, then I'll have a workshop that they can sign up for.
Okay.
And through that process, we're going to introduce them to the idea validation system, how that all works. And then it's like, okay, let's brainstorm specific ideas and actually get work done. Going back to the ClickFunnels thing.
Mm-hmm.
Webinar.
You want me to audit your shit?
Webinars kind of automatically congruent with sales call, right? So yeah, if people want to buy this product, if people want to get into Snappier, that's cool. But I really want to put together a workshop that adds value. Like that, okay, you're going to get, by the end of this, you're going to have something. You're going to have a deliverable. You're going to have an idea that you can go off and now take to the process that we just gave you. And if you really want to dive in and you want to be held accountable to actually going through and doing it, yeah, then you get into Snappier. But it's just, man, this is not a 3 secrets kind of webinar to validate your idea. It's we're going to come over and show you what it is.
We said we'd kind of go over it on air. I'm not going to roast you too bad. I just want to see
Snappier?
Yeah, what I can help with a little bit.
Yeah,
because I like to show off on our podcast.
We can dive into how Snappier works.
So your WordPress, it looks like
WordPress, yeah, simple WordPress site.
Jabroni. No. We like Squarespace, but look, WordPress is good, man.
Well, if your listeners go to makeitsnappyshow.com with the podcast, that is Squarespace.
Oh, really?
That's Squarespace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I talked you into that in the beginning, right?
I think, you know what?
Yeah.
You did.
Say,
you
Squarespace,
did.
Why don't we have a promo code? I don't get it. I don't know what I have to do.
That is bullshit. Squarespace.
Not only have we made hundreds of sites on Squarespace or worked on them, but we also have told people that I forgot all about. So
I was hollering at my mom yesterday about it. I was like, just go on there. It's got all the tutorials
and
everything.
Drag and drop.
Just do it.
Well, from the versatility perspective, it just didn't do everything we needed to get done. And my partner with this...
Try me. No. I'll challenge you on that on a different
do
podcast
that
called
later.
"No One Watches Web Development Arguments." But okay, so you've got kind of a menu going on. Go back to the homepage. Homepage is most important right now.
Yeah, the homepage. When you get into the homepage, this is a member that's logged in. You want to go to the home site, or you want to go to the
because I want to. We talked about maybe you give us some operations advice, and we'll give you a little marketing advice.
Okay, so we'll just go to the site that what people see when they log on, or when they just kind of check it out. That's snappier.co.
Because that's your landing page.
Yeah, because I was just giving you the inside view. So I'll go back to the actual page.
Yeah, the inside experience, it's a whole other animal. But I want to help you try to show people what this is, because that's what we were talking about. That's the hard part. You've got to. I feel like I've got a little bit of an engineer's mind, but I
think you do too.
Yeah, I think I see on both sides of the fence, but 50 feet wide and 4 feet deep kind of thing.
So
not really crazy awesome in one area, but you know a lot about a bunch of little areas.
Yeah, I get that, but what's the saying? Where does that come from?
I don't know.
You just making shit up right now?
No, I've heard that. Dude, I didn't make that
never
up.
heard that. I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Stand by.
You can look it
Everybody
up.
stop talking.
It might be 2 feet deep. I don't know. So right there you have you've got an image of like brain teamwork kind of cartoony image.
Yep.
And then on the right hand side, then we're on desktop. Mobile's going to be more important, but
this is it's mobile friendly.
So, do you have a testimonial from anybody? I'd humanize it, man.
I do. Yep. I have a few, and I'm actually going to get more. I actually have only 2 right now. But when you go to the, and I got to log out to actually see what you see. Because for some reason my windows aren't here.
So,
being the admin
with something, I know you're not going for like volume leads kind of thing, because you're going quality over quantity kind of thing.
I'm going to be getting more grassroots, and this is something that I kind of learned from you a little bit too, because you're a local business kind of supporter type person. Is that all these things, even if you're online, they really start grassroots.
Yeah, man. I mean,
that's something I had to learn.
So
this is me logged out now. So yeah, I got testimonials on the I think it's on the How It Works page.
So
how it works.
All right, I'm going to throw out some ideas real quick. We're just going to start with the home page above the fold, and I'll say,
sure,
I would humanize this. I like this kind of thing as like this cartoon as extra kind of fodder around the site.
Right.
It'll give it more color.
Decorative.
But I would try to even if you have to get a stock photo for now that's out of focus, and put a testimonial overlaid on that as the hero image, you need to humanize it in a way that you'll see a lot of these like app sites do. So go to like GenBook, and above the fold, it's usually a picture of like
book.
Yeah, GEN. It's Generation Book kind of thing.
Okay.
I think it stands for
.com,
and you'll see a lot of these software sites, app sites, where you sign up. All right, look right there. You've got kind of similar thing, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of they got a human person in there.
Right.
I think we got to show something like that. And then typically above the fold, you'll see sign up, which would be name, email, maybe phone. But you don't want to do too much because people won't fill it out. So before they scroll down, you have that. And then at the bottom, you also have that as a call to action, because you want to get that lead and then follow up with, here's what we're about, this kind of stuff. So wait, go back. So you've still got, we're on GenBook. Now you've got the credibility of these other places saying, this is a legit app. That's where I might put a testimonial from someone who's already done well with it.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's, I'm just breaking it down primally because a lot of online marketing is about figuring out, everybody's got ADD.
Behavioral psychology.
So, this looks like the Wendy's chick. She looks like her schedule, it's going easy. Like her face says that. You don't really analyze it that way, but she's not stressed. How about that? You don't know what she does, right?
She's slammed by the look of that picture.
And then the elevator pitch is right there, right underneath the brand name. So here's what it is. Online website copy is really tough.
Right.
But here's what we are in 4 words. Slack. What is it like? Work less or something like that. It's try to define it in as least amount of words as possible. We can't do it here.
Right.
Well, you're saying it for yourself. I can't. It's hard for us to do our own stuff as well. That's why I was like, I'm glad you're coming in. You can roast what we're working on. Yeah. And let me know if you're like, hey, take it easy.
No, I've been beat up. I was in that nuclear Navy program.
What's that?
Whoa.
Yeah, when I was right out of college, and they'll beat you up pretty good.
What is that?
I did. I was a civilian working with the nuclear Navy. We trained sailors on how to operate the back 1/3 of a submarine. That program's pretty intense.
Whoa.
People yelling at you a lot, and
Really?
so that was a really good,
Like on a
thick
sub,
skin
like
kind of
a
subs
nuclear
and carriers.
reactor?
Yeah, but I
subs
didn't
and
want you to be
carriers.
like, hey, I'm a guest on this thing. Take it easy.
Nah, I had to train with them, man. I went to power school, and it had all that military craziness.
So let's go back to go to another site called Pingdom, like Kingdom with a P. And we're going to test the speed of your site real quick. And this matters because if it takes longer than 3 seconds on their tools, you're going to have like 70% drop off or what is it? Like 50% drop off of most people on dumb phones, as I call them. They call them feature phones. But go to tools on Pingdom. I know this isn't super visual or amazing audio, but you can do this at home. And then put in your URL.
I have to put in everything, or just do I have to do
www? I don't think so. Just and it's cool. We've been using it. Finally, we found something that is legit.
Test from Sweden?
Test from Dallas or San Jose, I think. Yeah. And then it's gonna pump out a free report that's legit. Because we were testing sites on the Google My Site mobile.
Test My Site.
And it was giving us like D's or F's or whatever. And we're like, that can't be right because we're physically doing it on cell phone. Go down.
Yeah.
And
so it's a Squarespace thing.
So there you go. So 7.14 seconds. And you can do it a couple different times because it's going to be different. But, you want to speed that up, and then it'll show you how to speed it up a little bit.
Really?
Pretty
So
much.
that header is an issue because it has some encoding in it.
Oh, look at that.
Almost always make your picture smaller.
Yeah,
Like, it's almost
if you really want to know, what is it? Try to make it about 1,500 pixels. Make it under 500 kilobytes.
Yeah, 6 I think it was, but
something like that. As least amount as possible without. You can go down to 300 sometimes without losing quality. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. Because just think about it. The lighter the site, the quicker it's going to load.
Yeah.
And then
I got 2 F's and straight A's after that.
so that's actually better because you only have to really take care of 2 things.
Yeah, remove query strings from static resources.
So that means where the pictures are stored on whatever server you're using, WordPress is. And then the other one was something about a header.
The encoding header is probably they got something up there. That's
So it's all doable,
up.
but that's a little tip for anybody trying to look at their site. Is it good? Is it not?
That's cool.
And it's a quick tool. You can use it on your phone too.
Yeah, and there was a public service announcement about the Google Test My Site. If you have a Squarespace site, there's something going on with Squarespace. The way they design it doesn't pop back as quick or something. So they tell you to use Pingdom or other sites.
There's something. There's something with JavaScript or something. But where are you going? Test your other site. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
While we're here.
I went through all our client sites and I was like, oh shit, I need to go through and. Well, I mean, stuff changes too, and I don't want anybody to have a bad experience that we just launched their site.
So what do they sell?
3 months earlier or something.
But now that's become part
They
of our
sell
process.
tools.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's part of our quality
one of the
control.
check marks is
How can
make
it
sure
be?
your pictures aren't as big as they need to be.
So that's kind of some of the advice I'd say.
Yeah. Appreciate that, man.
I'd say I'm going to give you this video. You can chop it up if you want. This podcast to be able to, tell this story, right?
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
No.
Your
Put it on
face
your
said like,
website, I
dude,
mean-
sure.
No. I know. I was the wheels were turning. That was the face I was
Oh,
giving. Like,
if
okay,
it-
I'm trying to figure out.
If it wasn't for
how
us
to deal with it.
interrupting, you could have had a whole video of you explaining how this came about and all that stuff. So you just chop us out of it, and
Yeah.
you probably have a whole.
Well, Eric's a badass video editor. He might help you if you're sweet on him, but then he has to listen to himself. So but you can chop this up because video is really huge. Add captions to it because like 30-40% of people that are watching video have the volume on.
Yeah.
That's why Facebook wants you to have captions. That's why just think of it yourself. You know, you don't always have your headphones, but you want to look
Sure.
at stuff, memes and
That's
shit.
cool.
Turned into a caption-aholic. Like if it's not a comedy, put those captions up there. I want to know what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on the college
Comedy,
humor.
I don't.
It's
Comedy,
distracting.
it's different.
Well, like College Humor is doing awesome sketches. Like I think just for like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, but. The captions at the bottom, and so I'm reading the punchline.
Yeah, you're reading the
half
punchline
second
ahead of time, yeah.
before, or you're not paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
So I don't know, but chop it up, and I could feel you kind of dogging on Facebook, like it's kind of going away. It's still there. It's still the anchor. So if Facebook is the anchor, Instagram is your is kind of the spoke. Pinterest, you need to get on to get the ladies involved. Because there's membership stuff for ladies.
It's like
Yeah,
the vagina of
that's
the
a
wheel.
tricky one, man. Like it's because Pinterest is all imagery, right?
Yeah, so we got to figure out how to make
it's
images.
tricky.
We got to figure out how to visualize a lot of this stuff or tell the story. You got to get like, all right, what would like a foofy kind of like creative flaky guy do? Like, all right, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, membership. You got to kind of do that a little bit to get the wheels
Membership.
going.
You put
That-
your
do your hands like
you're
that.
wearing
Yeah,
The handmaid.
namaste. That kind of guy says namaste instead of thank you.
You put your Warby Parker glasses on and
Sure.
and you take some pictures of that, thinking about the the
Exactly.
namaste.
So it's like try to visualize it. If you have to close your eyes, Eric's a big wellness kind of guy where you do ice baths or you do yoga or transcendental meditation, whatever's going to help you kind of honestly visualize it. And then each social platform has its own strategy. So LinkedIn, I think, is fucking awesome now from a marketing perspective.
And being 15 years in corporate, that's where a lot of my people are.
Right.
So
Your audience is there, but they're not. It doesn't mean they're not on the other things too.
right.
And it doesn't mean that you can't find niches for your niche. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Email's still
Absolutely.
number one. Email's still the number one thing overall if you have that. So build that list
Right on.
best you can, and then whatever you can get reviewed on, get that 5-star. Send it to us. I'll throw you a 5-star review because those reviews are becoming way more important now than ever.
Because there's so much noise.
There's so much noise. We have a agency partner called Bird Eye that's like a super online reputation agency.
Mm-hmm.
So like they can delete bad, shitty reviews if like someone leaves. You can't do it on your own. You have to like be boys with Google and stuff to delete a shit review. But we have a partnership with them where we can allow our clients to be on their system, and then we help their online. So like.
Wow.
People sign up or the exit of that, we put it on our process over there. We have to make sure to set an auto drip review. If they put a shitty review typed out in the little module we send them,
Mm-hmm.
if it's 3 stars or under, it'll go to a box that looks like they're going to leave an online review to everybody, a shitty one.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will fall for that, and it'll go right to us.
Then we know.
So it's like a decision tree. Like 4 or 5 stars above, it's public. 3 here. Let's do it on these sites: Facebook, Google, and Yahoo or something. And then if it's 3 or under, it's going to go to a thing like it looks like you can be a shithead about us online. Hey, these guys ripped us off and all this stuff. And then you can recapture what went wrong. Because most people, like you did with your Facebook post, but you got something positive out of it, most people are impulsively writing something shitty online, right?
Right.
They may have had a bad experience,
yeah,
but you
heated.
give them 48 hours, they might be like, well, it wasn't that bad. kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it'll help with that too. So anyway, reviews, I can't say enough. It's going to be, that's to me a lot of SEO. Think about it. You Google local business, a lot of it has to do with the reviews that pop up that are going to get you to the top.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you're the best pizza spot in this part of the neighborhood and you're Googling it from the neighborhood, you know.
Yeah, most people don't have Google AdWords set up. You know, they're just going by the reviews.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, man. Anything else? What do we got?
Want to give if they want to do that webinar on validation?
Yeah, which one? This workshop?
Yeah.
So workshop.snappier.co. We're going to put all these links on the post, the episode description, and the blog post on our site, tocoworks.com.
Is it?
Well, I changed it to the main Tocobaga Consulting because people were calling us Taco Works and dumb shit like that. So I only made Toco Works as a @email handle, you know.
Okay.
Because Tocobaga Consulting is too long. So you can go on there and tell us about that, and we'll close this mother out. What's the workshop?
The workshop, you come in there, you want to understand more about idea validation, and you want to see if you have a good idea for a membership site or anything really. We'll give you the overview on that, and we'll work through that process and brainstorm different ideas. Say you kind of have a vague idea, but you want to solidify a little bit. We'll have a community that's on this webinar, and we'll work through it together, workshop style. So it's not the 3 secrets to getting whatever you need in $500,000 a month type thing. It's
a holistic approach.
It's a legitimate workshop, but
yeah, I mean
that's
what this podcast is about, giving that pragmatic advice and you know, trying to the anti Tim Ferriss is why we kind of started this. Like I hated those podcasts. It was like, all right, just get your millionaire friends, go to Y Combinator, and just make a fucking multi-million-dollar business. It was super easy.
Just take the product that you already have, and then we'll go from there, and we'll tell you how to automate your $80,000 a month business.
Right.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. No, he's good to listen to. Like, if you want to daydream. No, if you want to daydream, I just use him as like a go-to. I don't have any angst towards him. I just feel like, you know, it's not in touch with reality, and I feel like the freelancer gig economy is growing. I feel like entrepreneurship's growing. That's why I felt like this podcast came at a good time.
Sure, yeah.
To be able to try to help, you know, maybe one listener might go to Pingdom, but it might help them a lot, kind of thing. And that the hippie in me kind of likes that. So the frustration of listening to Tim Ferriss maybe would be like, fuck this. This is stupid. I have better info than this. So ego,
except
empathy.
for that saying that 50-foot wide, 4 feet deep. I couldn't find anything on Google about that.
Must be old school.
Making it up.
Must be super old school.
Yeah,
why would you type it in? Why would someone put that online?
I mean, I don't know.
What about 2 feet deep?
I'm not going to put all the
it's
numbers
2
in.
inches
You want me to start
2 inches? It might be 2 inches.
6 foot wide or 6 inches deep, or maybe it's
You
2.
guys are just trying to get
You
me
got
to
what
put
I'm
all these
saying.
numbers in
It doesn't
there and
matter.
See how many I'll do before I give up.
metaphor.
That's what you're doing.
All right. Appreciate you coming back on, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been great.
Yeah, come back on sooner. Let's make it like 4 or 6 months, something like that, or
I'd like
even
that.
sooner, man. Come back in 3 months. I want to see like what's happened in the last 3 months, and we'll schedule it now, because that's another thing I've been doing productivity wise. Every meeting has an exit. What's the next steps? When are we meeting next? A lot of stuff.
It's not random.
When can I see you
Randomness
again?
is so. I'm over randomness.
Randomness?
I'm over the randomness. Yeah.
I want to hear about that. And that's how we'll close out. What do you mean the randomness?
Well, I think things should flow together. You know, even what you're posting over social media.
Hold on, Eric's going to do some DMT and get really into it.
I think
I wouldn't
things
be
need to
into it
have
here.
a logical flow, because I get frustrated when I'm a big podcast listener, and it's some of these topics in the productivity space was like that. I felt like I was getting that way with the podcast. It's like I was just pulling for content, so it was random. It didn't have a logical order, and it was kind of hard to.
Snag.
Is it cat-like? You
Yeah.
see that?
Nice snag.
And it was distracting almost. You just kind of jump into something, you hear, oh, that's a great kind of tip, but then the action doesn't follow the randomness. So I feel like if you have a logical flow and people are following your thought patterns, and your podcast is feeding your group with your posts, like it's all kind of combined and feeding each other, I think it's a lot more more productive and
Yeah.
more efficient.
Yeah, the holistic kind of thing, a method of thinking and
Right.
following through and stuff. But again, I was just like, why am I doing some meetings and then it's so hard to coordinate with people right after? Like, you walk out the door and somehow it becomes insurmountably difficult to coordinate something.
Yeah.
So I just try to go, like, every meeting has even though I hated myself for trying to do this in the beginning, it was like, all right, every meeting has a pre-show, pre-meeting prepare, even if it's 15 minutes, or just be quiet and think about what's the meeting going to be about. And then afterwards, there's always a post, and there's always posts like action items, to-dos, things to take away from this.
Purpose is purposeful.
Yeah, and there's stuff I want to look up because I was thinking about other stuff while we were talking and stuff off there. So, all right, appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you later.